You ever buy something, bring it home, and then a few hours later you look at it and think, why did I even want this? Not because it was expensive. Sometimes it's a $7 thing. Sometimes it's $700. But the feeling is the same. You didn't really buy the item. You bought a moment. Now, picture two people. Same age, same income, both trying to be responsible. Person A buys little things all the time. A snack while driving. A random gadget because it was on sale. A new water bottle because it looks cool. They don't feel reckless. Nothing seems crazy. But their account is always low. They're always confused. They're always saying, I don't even shop that much. Person B buys fewer things. Not because they're miserable. They just don't get pulled into the same spending loops. Their money actually stays in their account. They build savings without feeling like they're constantly fighting themselves. Same income, different results. That's what this video is about. Not budgeting, not never buy coffee. We're talking about the psychology behind unnecessary purchases. Because if you don't understand the psychology, you'll keep treating overspending like a math problem when it's really a brain problem. And I'm going to keep this simple, like we're talking in the kitchen, not in a classroom. The goal is to help you spot the traps while they're happening, so your money stops disappearing in ways you can't explain. Here's the first truth. Unnecessary spending is rarely about the thing. It's about what the thing represents. A $12 lunch isn't just food. It's a break. It's comfort. It's I deserve something nice. A new outfit isn't just fabric. It's confidence. It's identity. It's I'm the type of person who has their life together. A new phone isn't just a device. It's status. It's a fresh start. It's proof that you're not falling behind. When you see it like that, your past spending starts making more sense. You weren't stupid. You were human. You were trying to solve a feeling. So let's name the real enemy. I call it the relief loop. The relief loop works like this. You feel something uncomfortable. Stress, boredom, loneliness, frustration, tiredness, insecurity. Your brain wants relief fast. Buying something is instant relief. Then the relief fades, and you're left with less money and the same life. Now you feel worse, so the loop repeats. That's the system, and it's powerful because it's fast. It happens before you even notice it. If you want proof, think about when you buy most. Is it when you're calm and happy? Or is it when you're tired after a long day, scrolling your phone, just wanting something to feel better? Most unnecessary purchases happen when your brain is trying to change your mood. Now here's the trap. Companies know this. They don't sell products. They sell feelings. And they're good at it. They sell, you'll be confident. They sell, you'll be productive. They sell, you'll be attractive. They sell, you'll finally be organized. They sell, you'll be the kind of person who meal preps. They sell, you'll be the kind of person who works out. So you buy the planner, not because you need paper, but because you want to become the organized version of you. You buy the home gym equipment, not because you need weights, but because you want to become the fit version of you. You buy the fancy water bottle because you want to become the healthy version of you. Sometimes that works. But most of the time, the item becomes a trophy of who you wanted to be, not a tool you actually use. That leads to a brutal but helpful question. Did I buy a tool, or did I buy a fantasy? If it's a tool, you will use it this week. Not someday, this week. If it's a fantasy, you'll feel excited for one day, and then it will quietly join the pile. Here's another psychology trap. Friction is gone. In the past, spending had pain. You had to drive to a store, pick something, stand in line, hand over cash. Your brain felt the loss. Now spending is silent. Tap. Face ID. Done. Your brain barely registers it as real money leaving your life. That's why people can spend $20, $30, $40 a day and honestly feel like they spent nothing. Because you didn't experience the pain of paying. It didn't feel like a trade. And when paying doesn't hurt, you don't notice the damage until later. So here's a tiny rule that fixes a huge amount of this. Make spending slower than your feelings. When you feel the urge to buy something you don't need, pause for 10 minutes. Not forever. 10 minutes. Because emotions are fast and loud, but they're also short. Give the feeling time to pass, and the purchase often stops looking urgent. During that 10 minutes, do something that gives relief without costing money. Walk. Shower. Make tea. Stretch. Clean one small area. Message a friend. The activity doesn't matter. The point is to break the relief loop. Now, a lot of people hear this and think, okay, so I'm just supposed to never buy anything fun? No, that's not the goal. The goal is to stop buying things by accident. You can spend. You just want to spend on purpose. So here's the framework that changed my spending more than any budget ever did. It's called the 3-question filter. Before you buy, ask, what problem does this solve? Will I still care about this in 30 days? Will I giving up for this? That last one is the most important, because every unnecessary purchase steals from something. Savings, debt payoff, investing, peace of mind, options. It's not only $29. It's $29 that could have been a small piece of your buffer. And buffers are what make life feel safe. Let's talk about why smart people buy dumb stuff. Not because they're dumb, because the buying triggers are smarter than we are when we're tired. Trigger number 1 is social proof. If you see bestseller, trending, everyone's buying this, your brain translates it into safe choice. It's the same reason people pick the busy restaurant. The problem is popularity doesn't mean it's right for you. It just means the marketing worked on a lot of people. Social proof is strongest when you're already insecure. If you're worried you're behind in life, you're more likely to buy things that help you look like you're not behind. Trigger number 2 is scarcity. Only 3 left. Sale ends tonight. Limited edition. Scarcity makes your brain feel like waiting equals losing. It turns a normal purchase into an emergency. Here's a truth that helps. Real needs don't expire at midnight. If you truly need it, you can buy it tomorrow. Scarcity is usually just pressure dressed up as information. Trigger number 3 is anchoring the was $200, now in $99 trick. Your brain doesn't judge the $99 on its own. It compares it to the fake old price. So you feel like you're saving money while you're actually spending money. A discount doesn't change whether you need the item. It only changes how guilty you feel buying it. Trigger number 4 is the decoy effect. This is why menus and pricing pages have a weird middle option that feels pointless. It exists to make the expensive option feel reasonable. You didn't choose the best value. You chose the option the seller wanted you to choose. Once you see this, you can't unsee it. Whenever you see 3 options, ask, which one is the decoy? It's almost always the one that makes the top option look smart. Trigger number 5 is bundling. Buy 2, get 1 free. Free shipping over $50. Add $12 more to unlock a bonus. Bundles make you buy extra to avoid feeling wasteful. It's backwards. You spend more money to save. The fix is simple. If the only reason you're adding something is to unlock a perk, that item is not a need. It's bait. Trigger number 6 is identity spending. This is the big one. You're not buying the item. You're buying the story. The story is I'm organized. I'm healthy. I'm productive. I'm stylish. I'm successful. If you've ever bought something and felt a rush before it even arrived, that was identity spending. The package showed up, but the real reward was the feeling that you were becoming someone new. Here's a small rule that saves a lot of money. Don't buy the identity. Buy the action. If you want to be healthy, buy groceries you'll cook this week. If you want to be fit, do 3 workouts with 0 new gear first. If you want to be organized, clean 1 drawer before you buy containers. If you do the action first, you'll only buy tools you actually use. Trigger number 7 is invisible paying. When you tap a card, the part of paying is gone. Cash feels real because you see it leave. Cards feel like points. Apps feel like a game. That's why the same person who would never hand over $40 in cash can easily spend $40 in tiny taps without noticing. The fix is friction. Remove your save cards. Turn off one click. Delete shopping apps from your home screen. Make your future self type the numbers. You're not trying to suffer. You're trying to create a pause long enough for your brain to wake up. Trigger number 8 is exhaustion spending. This one is sneaky. When you're drained, you spend to make life easier. Delivery, rides, convenience stores, pre-made meals. I'll just buy it. I don't have the energy. Again, sometimes that's fine. But if it becomes normal, you'll wonder why your income never turns into savings. Your money will be paying for your tiredness. Now, let's make this practical with one simple piece of math. If you spend an extra $9 a day on unnecessary stuff, that feels small. But $9 a day is $63 a week. That's $3,276 a year. And most people don't just leak $9. They leak $20. That's why unnecessary purchases are dangerous. They're not one decision. They're a pattern that repeats. So what do? You build a system that blocks the triggers. First, do a trigger audit. Look at your last 10 non-essential purchases and label each one. Social proof, scarcity, anchor discount, bundle, identity, invisible paying, or exhaustion. You'll see your pattern fast. Everyone has one or two main triggers. When you know yours, you stop acting surprised by your spending. Second, create one rule per trigger. For scarcity, your rule is, I don't buy on the same day I see it. For bundles, your rule is, don't add items just for perks. For identity spending, your rule is action first, tools second. For invisible paying, your rule is no save cards. Third, decide where fun spending goes on purpose. Unnecessary spending gets worse when you try to be a robot. If you tell yourself, no fun, your brain will rebel. The better move is a small fun budget you can spend guilt-free. When fun has a place, random spending becomes easier to ignore. So far, we've covered the why. Why unnecessary purchases happen, why they feel good in the moment, and why they quietly wreck your finances over time. Now we're going to do the most important part, the how. Because knowing the psychology is nice, but what you actually need is a system you can follow on a random Tuesday when you're tired, hungry, and one click away from buying something you'll forget about next week. Here's the first brutal truth of behavior change. Willpower is not reliable. A system is. You don't want a system that only works when you're motivated. You want a system that still works when your brain is messy. So I'm going to give you a simple 3-layer system. Think of it like 3 doors. If your impulse gets through door 1, it still has to get through door 2. If it gets through door 2, door 3 catches it. Layer 1. The pause routine kills most impulse buys. This is the fastest tool you can use. Because the problem with unnecessary purchases is speed. The emotion hits, the buying happens, and the thinking comes later. So we flip the order. Emotion hits, pause happens, thinking happens, then buying only happens if it still makes sense. Here's the pause routine. It takes about 60 seconds. Step 1. Write the item down. Not leave it in the cart. Write it down in a note called by later. Put the price next to it. Step 2. Set a timer. If it's under $50, set a 24-hour timer. If it's $50 to $200, set a 72-hour timer. If it's over $200, set a 7-day timer. You can adjust those numbers, but you need a rule. The rule is what saves you from your mood. Step 3. Replace the relief. Ask, what feeling am I trying to fix? If it's stress, do something that lowers stress. Walk, shower, stretch, clean one small thing. If it's boredom, do something that creates novelty without spending. Watch a free video, cook something different, call a friend. If it's insecurity, do something that builds proof. Review your savings, pay off a small debt, or plan tomorrow's meals. This matters because buying is often just emotional self-medication. You're not trying to stop spending. You're trying to stop using spending as your main coping tool. Most impulses die during the pause. That's not willpower. That's biology. Feelings fade when you don't feed them with action. Layer 2. The weekly boundary stops death by 1,000 cuts. Impulse buys aren't the only problem. The other problem is small leaks. The $12 here, $9 there, $18 there. You can't remember them, but your bank account remembers all of them. So you need a weekly boundary, something you can feel. Pick one weekly number for random spending. That includes convenience food, snacks, coffee, little Amazon buys, app purchases, anything that isn't a true need. Let's say it's $80 for the week, or $40, or $150. The number doesn't matter as much as the fact that it exists. Then do one thing. Separate it. Put your weekly spending money in one place. A separate debit card, a separate bank account, or cash. And here's the rule. When it's gone until the weekly reset. This turns spending into a game you can actually win. Instead of asking, "Can I afford this?" you ask, "Is this worth spending my limited weekly amount on?" That one shift stops a ton of unnecessary purchases because now everything competes with everything. If you want something on Wednesday, you're not thinking about your full paycheck. You're thinking about your remaining $27 for the week. That's how you stop the leaks without tracking every penny. Layer 3. Automation. Protects your future before you can spend it. This is the part almost nobody does early enough, and it's the part that makes everything easier. If you try to save whatever is left over, there will be no leftover. Your spending will expand to match the space you give it. That's human nature. So you automate your future first. Pick one amount that moves automatically on payday. Even $10, even $25. It doesn't need to be impressive. It needs to be consistent. The point is to create a world where saving happens without permission. Here's why this is so powerful psychologically. Once money moves out automatically, your brain adjusts to what's left. You stop arguing with yourself every month. You stop negotiating. You stop doing mental gymnastics. You just live on what remains because that's what's available. And your savings start building quietly, which reduces anxiety, which reduces impulse spending. It becomes a loop that works for you instead of against you. Now let's connect this back to the psychology we talked about. Unnecessary purchases usually come from speed, invisibility, identity spending, stress and boredom, and social pressure. This system attacks all of it. The pause routine slows speed. The weekly boundary makes spending visible. Automation protects the future and lowers anxiety. You're not trying to become a monk. You're trying to stop accidental spending. Now, I want to address one objection I know some people will have, especially in the US and UK right now. What if my problem isn't unnecessary purchases? What if I'm just barely covering basics? If that's you, I'm not going to insult you with just stop buying coffee. When you're truly stretched, the game is different. But even then, the psychology still matters. Because when money is tight, unnecessary purchases become more tempting, not less. Your brain is stressed, and stressed brains chase relief. So if you're in that situation, your version of this system is simpler. Your pause routine becomes no buying today unless it's food, transport, or bills. Your weekly boundary might be $20. Your automation might be $5. Small doesn't mean pointless. Small means you're building control. And control is what eventually becomes momentum. Here's the most practical way to start without getting overwhelmed. Do a 7-day experiment. Just 7 days. Rule 1. No purchases above $30 without a 24-hour pause. Rule 2. 1 weekly random spending cap. Rule 3. 1 automatic transfer on payday or tomorrow morning. At the end of the week, check your last 10 transactions again. You're not looking for perfection. You're looking for patterns. Did you buy when you were tired? Did you buy when you were bored? Did you buy because it was on sale? Did you buy because you wanted to feel like a different person? That awareness is the start of change. Because once you can predict your own unnecessary purchases, you can block them. And once you can block them, your money stops leaking. And when money stops leaking, everything else becomes easier. Saving becomes possible. Investing becomes possible. Options become possible. Let me end with the most important human point in this entire topic. Your spending habits aren't a moral scorecard. They're just patterns, and patterns can be changed. You don't need to hate yourself into better finances. You need a few rules that protect you when your emotions are loud. So if you want a simple plan, here it is. Pause before you buy. Cap the weekly leaks. Automate the future. That's the system. It's boring. It's unfairly effective. And it works even when you're not in the mood to be disciplined. If you try for 2 weeks, you'll notice something that feels almost weird. You'll still enjoy life, but you'll feel less controlled by random spending. And that's the real win. Not being perfect, just being in control.